first of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this.
Thank
bro,
you.
for
Thank you for having me. I'm a very big fan of yours
man,
as well.
man.
And you got a great career. And,
Thanks, man.
thank you. And that was really nice. I didn't know that, saw me at these auditions and like, wow, like, like that's cool. You've always wanted to be an actor?
No, not at all. I mean, I it's weird. I kind of was, I grew up as an athlete, like that's kind of was my main focus. I played baseball and football, went to go play in school, and I was a boxer. And then I got into a lot of trouble and had to leave school. Was always in and out of different institutions, and it was really not like looking good for me at all. And then when I went to I got kicked out of my first school, but then I went to another school. Baseball coach got me in, and I took an acting class, honestly, by accident. And there was this woman, I got her name tattooed here, but she saw me in something, and she really gave me a shot. And once I got into some serious trouble, then I went to her, and she'd given me all these books on acting, and I'd really fallen in love with it. And she pushed me to go and audition for the Moscow Art Theater and leave the country and kind of try to sort of leave that life behind a little bit. And I did. It really saved my life. She ended up marrying my wife and I, and she really was like a guardian angel for me. And but once I found it, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it was right about that time probably that I first kind of saw you and your work, and I was inspired.
Yeah, that's like, it's funny, like, you didn't know that you wanted to do it until it was right there. And that was the same thing with me. I was on the beach.
Yeah.
I was on Jones Beach.
Okay.
And, in 1992. We had heard about this film, A Bronx Tale. And, you hear so many stories. And, Jerry's got the part because they're going to use his aunt's store in the movie. So like all this, like, so it's like such a long shot. So you're thinking, why would they want me, Lillo from Yonkers, to play in this movie? De Niro's directing it. And then I was just there on the beach that day. And it was just like, my brother called me out of the water. Because it was like Section 4 of Jones Beach out in Long Island. Yeah. That's where like a lot of the Italian kids hung out. So they went there to look for, specifically there to look for a kid. And then my brother was like, he called me out of the water and he said, Lee, this is the guy for the De Niro movie that we heard about. And when the guy saw me, he was like, wow, you look just like him. You could definitely pass for his son. So he wanted me to come in and read. And I'd never done this. And at that point, like, I wasn't really nervous because I didn't really think I had much to lose because I didn't want to do it. Sure. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way to De Niro or anything, but it's just not, it was summer vacation. Right. It was July 5th. The summer just started. Right. So it's like, I've got a whole summer in front of me and then this happened. So it's like, all right. But once I went in there and they had me read the scene when I was shaving, but in the original script, De Niro was shaving, and I approach him at the mirror, and I say, Dad, let me ask you a question. And just being in that room when she said to me, hey, here's the scene, it was a guy, Marco Greco. He said, here's the scene. I'm going to go outside, take your time. I'll come back and, we'll read it. And once I just looked at it and I just saw it was like pretty easy. Like it was like self-explanatory, right? Interior bathroom, describe the scene. All right, this looks like, and then we did it. And, and then I didn't know if I was doing it good or not. I didn't know if I was doing it well. So I'm going off by his reaction. Yeah. And his reaction was really, a really good reaction. Right. So I was like feeding off this guy. He's like, oh man, that was great. So it's like giving me the fuel that I need. And I'm like, wow, this is cool because as we're going on, I'm doing more. Yeah. And he was like, that's awesome. When I left that room that day, July 5th, 1992, I was like black from the I was like the beach that was all burnt up. Yeah, yeah. And I bought this little crystal, I remember too. It was like my good luck charm. So I bought this little crystal. And when I left that room, I knew this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Do you think the buzz or the whatever it was, the thing that drew you in, was it something that happened inside of you, or was it the feeling of watching that person react to what you were doing and you knew you were doing it right and you were pleasing somebody? Do you remember it that specifically?
His reaction told me that I have what it takes to do this. Yeah, yeah. So it motivated me.
And at that point in your life, did you have many? I just know for me, the reason why I put it out there, I was like a decent, Division III, athlete. I was a guy who would be like a good sparring partner in boxing. But like, there was nothing that I had ever done before that like, adults or like professional people were like, hey, like you've got something. And I remember that really was a motivator for me. Right. That shook me. I was like, these people are like,
yeah. Because now it puts things more into perspective. Like you can really do this. Not, like when you're doing it for like friends and family and you do impersonations of other relatives, sometimes they're going to laugh and make you think you're good just so they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
When you got somebody like that, you know what I mean? Like you said, it's very motivating.
Yeah.
And then it's like I went home and I started like, remember, the book by Lee Strasberg, A Method to Their Madness.
Yeah.
Started reading books like that and stuff like, I got bit by the acting bug. And I was like doing theater in my room. Like, I want you to see something. Call my brother. I'm on the bed doing things, but that, we love it.
Yeah. So, and tell me like a little bit about like, what's your life like? Like, what'd you say, 92? Is that what you said?
That was July 5th, 99.
So 1992, who are you?
Okay,
like, what's your life like?
I just finished 10th grade.
Okay.
Right? Ninth grade, I went to Sacred Heart High School.
Okay.
I was like yourself. I got thrown out of I got thrown like 5 schools.
For what?
Just misbehaving, class clown. I had good grades though. I was an honor roll student. So I remember I got thrown out of St. Anne's on what was it, Ash Wednesday in 1987. March 4th, 1987.
Yeah.
I'm good with the date. So that was like in 5th grade. Then I got thrown out of Sacred Heart, and then I went to like a little upstate school because my family didn't want to send me to the Yonkers public schools. They were bad. So we used like a fake address. They found it. They threw me out of there.
Uh-huh.
So then that summer, it was like I went to Roosevelt, but like it was like public school in Yonkers. I used to cut school every day, and it was like so coincidental because my mom, my adopted mom, she's from Calabria, and Calabria is like a southern part of Italy, right?
Sure.
That's like being in Belgium, right?
Right.
And meeting somebody from New York and being like, really, I'm from New York too. Where are you from? I'm those little villages.
Right.
I'm from you're from Tuckahoe?
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
That's how coincidental it was. My mother was from the same hometown as the assistant principal. Can you imagine this? And he played minor league baseball for the Twins. His name was Angelo Petrone.
Okay.
Right? So my mom was like, because my mom didn't want to go. She was hesitant, but she's like, listen, my paisan's there. He's going to take care of you. You got to go to school. You're in 10th grade.
This is upstate.
No, this is in Yonkers.
Oh, in Yonkers.
Because I got thrown out of the upstate school for using the fake address. And now we had to go back to Yonkers.
Yeah.
So my mom's, it was a little encouraging that her paisan, Angelo Petrone, was the assistant principal, right?
Yeah.
So I remember what he said. I remember because I cut out a lot because I missed so much school that year from being thrown out of the 2 other ones. And then the little in-betweens of finding the next school. So I remember him. I said to Mr. Petrone, we were walking down the hallway, and I said, Mr. Petrone, why don't I just take off the whole year, and then I'll just start again in September? Yeah. He goes, you know why Mussolini made the buses run? And I said, no, why? He goes, because he was the boss, like I'm the boss here. He said, that's what he said. That's exactly what he said. That's why he made the buses run, because he's the boss. Yeah. I'm the boss here. You come to school, and you're going to pass, but just come. I went to school like 40 days that whole year.
Yeah.
I was promoted, and then they found me on the beach. But at that point in time, I didn't really get into the drugs yet, but I was drinking, every night with the girls and my friends. And then I got thrown out of my house. I was sleeping in my friend's car. I was sleeping while he was in summer school. So I had no direction. I was really, and I did head down a bad path.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I don't know how much worse it could have been.
Right.
But that's who I was at that time.
That's who you were at that time. Yeah. And how and at the same time, how was your brother? Was he kind of doing the same things you did, or was he straight?
No, my brother was straight. Like, sometimes I feel bad, because they adopted me. My brother Vinny's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Operating engineers, it's good. But sometimes I think that, he lived in my shadow. You know what I mean? Because my parents,
after everything that happened.
Well, even before.
Really?
Why?
Because you were very popular or what?
I was more outgoing, but not even that. It's not even that. Because my parents, they wanted to show me, like, listen, we love you just like him. Even though you're not technically our blood. They always loved him. They didn't neglect him. But because of that fact, they wanted to always go a little bit, a little bit more, a little above and beyond to say, listen, you're one of us. We love you. Which I love them so much for that.
It's beautiful.
But I think, they didn't realize that my brother was going to feel that way. But I think he felt like he lived a little in the shadows, but he made the best of it.
Yeah.
We're still very close, my brother, and I love him very much.
Yeah. I mean, what's that like 10th grade, and then all of a sudden, I mean, whether you wanted to be an actor or not, I mean, De Niro's De Niro, and at that point, I mean, that's like, I mean, that's just like huge. I mean, what does that do?
It was like, because like at that time in your life, that's just when you're discovering new things, So it just kind of seemed like it was almost supposed to happen after it happened. Not when it was happening, but then after it happened, it just felt like this is part of growing up. You know what I mean? Just because it came so easily.
Mm-hmm. Like it was meant to be, kind of.
Yeah,
Like
it was like
yeah.
meant to be, but that's not a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's, like, I mean, obviously we can never go back, but I think I should have, I don't know if I appreciated it as much as I should have, just because it came so easy. So it's hard to appreciate something that you got so easy.
Sure.
Because why do you appreciate it?
Sure.
You didn't do anything to get it.
Sure.
And I kind of like made so many, like, and Chaz Palminteri said it perfectly. I made monumentally bad choices. You know what I mean?
Like what? Like what? Like.
Well, first of all, I chose to, I mean, there was just because it came so easy, right? And I'm thinking like, I went from Bronx Tale, then I did Renaissance Man, then I did Crimson Tide, and I was working on all these A-list, these big studio movies, and it's coming so easy that you think this is the way it's supposed to be, not knowing the nature of the business. You're as good, your last movie, and you know how many times I lost roles because this guy's got a movie coming out, right before that one does, so they're going to go off that momentum,
right.
But I didn't realize how it worked. So there was so many times like I'm like passing up on scripts, and my managers and agents still like, dude, these are like the biggest people in Hollywood. Yeah. And damn, if I could go back, but I can't.
Well, what do you like? What do you mean? Like you would have said yes to things that you had said no to, or was it just generally? Are you talking more like lifestyle decisions?
It was more like there were scripts coming my way with big name people, producers and stuff that I'm passing on. Not even reading the script. Right. Telling my representation, yeah, I read it. It's not for me. They're like, it's not for you. Yeah. Dude, this is the best script out there right now. This is, these are the biggest people. What is there, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, just because you think like, it's all right. I got those other ones. Yeah. They came real easy. Passing on this one's not a big deal because then another one will come. But it doesn't happen that way. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. And you leave high school, yeah?
Yeah, I did. We tried that on location education thing. And Bronx Tale is like such a big role. Yeah. So it's like, you got 5 minutes, you go and say, Lillo, we need you. They didn't even take my jacket off. Yeah. And then it's like, so, yeah.
Millions of dollars are at stake. You playing that role right. They're not really that invested in education.
Because I always thought I could always go back to school. Right. But this right here, like De Niro, and I got to really focus. Yeah. So.
And did you feel what did you learn there? Like, what did you learn on that set? Did you feel like you came up with any or was the work just always kind of easy for you and just to kind of fall into it?
I definitely learned a lot from De Niro. One thing he always said, like, I guess not being a trained actor and going in sometimes because film just picks films. Like with film, sometimes I don't think you have to do things as big as you think you need to do them for them to come across a certain way. For sure. Because film is very sensitive, and you come across doing less. Yeah. Just exactly the way you want by doing less, and I didn't know that. Yeah. And De Niro always said to me, he said, "Less is more." It's not like, but it's like he really, like really said that a lot of times. It's not like it's not like profound but less is more. He said, if you don't feel like doing anything, when the cameras, don't do anything. Yeah. He said, you're better off doing nothing than too much.
Too much, sure.
So I said, okay, wow. So that taught me to be a little more subtle in my approach. Yeah. And just like, and I've always, and it helps. It still helps to this day.